Please be advised, viewer discretion is strongly recommended. None of the content presented in this video has been exaggerated or taken out of context. What you're about to hear is a narrated breakdown of today's courtroom proceedings in the federal trial of Sean "Diddy" Combs, including the jury's partial verdict and what that means for the Diddy case. The dramatic jury note revealing a deadlock on the most serious charge, the judge's delivery of a rare Allen charge, and the intense, often tense behind-the-scenes moments that played out in the courtroom while the jury was deliberating. This video is based on real-time reporting from courtroom journalist Inner City Press on X.com. Some language has been censored to comply with YouTube's community guidelines. All parties are presumed innocent until proven guilty. Watch and listen at your own discretion.
Ms. Comey, can we make sure that things that have been emailed in are put in the docket? I am adopting the government's answer to the drug distribution question.
Can we just put something on the record about sole possession? This definition of distribution would mislead the jury. But
hold on. Both sides agreed to this definition without objection. So, what is it?
1 second.
They are trying to mislead the jury.
They have been specific in their question, and so is this answer.
Your Honor, can you just mark our defense proposal as a court exhibit?
Yes.
Another note has just surfaced from the jury. Its content's still a mystery. It hasn't been read aloud in court, and Sean Combs remains absent, still held in the holding cell. Tension lingers in the air. For now, the courtroom buzzes quietly as attorneys drift across the floor. Combs' defense team, Shapiro, Driscoll, Steele, Agnifilo, and others, are clustered together, hunched over a laptop, their faces lit by the screen, scanning, whispering, bracing. At the back of the courtroom near the gallery, Agnifilo, Shapiro, Steele, and Westmoreland huddle in a tight circle, voices low, faces tense. Across the room, AUSA Comey leans in, speaking directly with Combs' attorney Xavier Donaldson, who sits poised at the center table. Then, movement. The door to the holding cell creaks halfway open. A U.S. Marshal peers out, silently checking. Is it time to bring Sean Combs back into the courtroom? 10:46 a.m. The tension sharpens as Sean Combs is escorted back into the courtroom. At his side, lead attorney Mark Agnifilo leans in, speaking with him in hushed tones. Just a few feet away, Shapiro and Westmoreland are locked in focus, working intently on something displayed across Shapiro's laptop screen, the glow of it casting sharp reflections across their faces. At 10:54 a.m., prosecutor Emily Johnson moves quietly across the courtroom, then hands a single piece of paper to Sean Combs' legal team. No words, just the faint rustle of paper and a subtle shift in the room's energy. Moments later, prosecutor Gerald Comey takes a seat beside Combs' attorney Xavier Donaldson, turning his laptop toward him. Whatever's on the screen, it's shared in silence, just a brief, focused exchange kept deliberately out of public view.
We received a note from the jury asking for testimony of Cassandra Ventura as to the Intercontinental in Cannes incidents and the Daniel Phillip Essex Hotel incident. Daniel Phillip's testimony on that as well.
We have a disagreement.
First, let me know if either side minds me bringing the jury out and speaking to them.
We don't see a need.
I've conferred with Mr. Combs, and we don't see a need either.
As to any future note, let me know.
We have a disagreement about the redirect about the Cannes incident and the events immediately following. The answer was to what happened when Sean was angry. It referred to the freak-off that occurred upon landing in NY.
I would likely cut it off sooner.
I have nothing to add.
We may need to speak with the court about the Intercontinent.
I understand there is an issue to resolve.
I understand that during the break, the defense came up with an issue about Daniel Phillip.
U.S. wants one more question and answer in than we do. It's his later thoughts.
The answer is about the Essex Hotel incident. On the Intercontinental Hotel incident, we think it's the day of and after, not the days before. That's our position. The defense wants to include Ms. Ventura's Instagram post of 2024.
We did include several messages from after the Intercontinental incident where they are talking about it. It's regarding the incident. It's important to weighing whether Mr. Combs coerced Ms. Ventura into commercial sex on that date.
The request was for Ms. Ventura's testimony regarding the Intercontinental incident. How does something from 2024 regard it more than things closer in time?
In 2024, she was responding to the video of the incident and also watching it here.
She was asked, "Do you recall posting on Instagram in May of 2024? She wrote that domestic violence is the issue, but that's not what the jury is asking about. We'd like more about the cans incident."
We think we should start with the first government exhibit about the intercontinental freak-off.
If we could get the laptop back, we could load a searchable PDF.
I agree some earlier and later messages should be given. What's left?
We'd like to include the photos she took of her injuries and the message from March 5th.
Ms. Garagos, don't those fall into the same category? What would be the objection?
I have to maintain my objection to the photos.
We do not think her testimony about her Instagram post is relevant. We think it's confusing, and
I think it can be included. Both sides have reviewed. We'll proceed on this basis.
After a long lull, now Combs Agnifilo, Steele, and Shapiro are back in the courtroom. Prosecutor Gerald Comey walks forward and hands a piece of paper to Mark Agnifilo, who glances at it briefly before passing it down the line. On the defense bench, Matthew Driscoll leans in to quietly confer with Nicole Westmoreland. Still, Sean Combs remains in the holding cell. For now, Sean Combs is brought into the courtroom. He stands silently, hands tucked into his pockets, as Agnifilo speaks to him in a low voice. One by one, his lawyers gather around, forming a protective circle. After a quiet moment, Combs lowers himself into his seat. Sean Combs is sitting surrounded by his 8 lawyers, who are talking and strategizing. He is looking down, his hands crossed on his lap. Combs begins rubbing his eyes. The fatigue is visible now. His team continues to talk, with Westmoreland leaning in to speak with Xavier Donaldson, the rhythm of the defense team continuing around him. Agnifilo steps forward briefly, then returns and hands Combs the same piece of paper passed earlier. This time, Combs stares at it, expression unreadable. After a brief exchange with Agnifilo, Combs looks back down. Slowly, he rests his head in his right hand. The courtroom doesn't move. It doesn't have to. Everything is already in motion. And then, it happens the judge receives a note from the jury regarding the verdict.
We have received a note at 4:05 p.m. today. It reads, "We have reached a verdict on counts 2, 3, 4, and 5. We are unable to reach a verdict on count 1 as we have jurors on each side. How should we respond?"
So here's what just happened in court. At 4:05 p.m., the judge received a note from the jury. It said they had reached a verdict on counts 2, 3, 4, and 5, but that they were unable to come to a unanimous decision on count 1, the racketeering charge. The note even said there were jurors on each side, meaning they're split and can't agree. Now, count 1 is the most serious charge in this entire trial. It's the racketeering conspiracy, basically accusing Diddy of running a criminal enterprise. If he were to be found guilty on that, it could carry a life sentence. So when the judge read that note out loud in court, he had to decide what to do next. This is the most critical point in the trial so far. A guilty verdict on count 1 would change everything.
we are preparing a modified Allen charge.
An Allen charge is a special instruction a judge gives to a jury when they say they're deadlocked and can't agree on a verdict. In short, the judge tells them, go back, keep deliberating, and try to reach a unanimous decision, but don't give up your honest beliefs just to reach a verdict. It's basically a last push to avoid a mistrial.
We proposed you tell them to continue deliberating and that you not take the partial verdict. No modified Allen charge.
Would the defense request I bring the jury out to say that?
Yes.
Okay, email me your proposals, each side. I'll wait. I could give a modified Allen charge, or at some point I could tell them they could return a partial verdict. Email me. I'll wait.
In the well of the courtroom, everyone is in their seat, except Donaldson. The room is still, charged with quiet tension. Sean Combs leans back in his chair, arms crossed, eyes fixed ahead. His expression says it all. He does not look happy.
I received each side's proposal. Mr. Agnifilo, your proposal. There is not much there. We are not remotely at the place where the jury needs more to deliberate efficiently. They are remarkably efficient. They already have 4 verdicts.
I wouldn't call the government's proposal an Allen charge. It reminds the jury of the instruction I previously gave on the duty to deliberate. I could simply recite from the jury charge.
We're not at the point yet. I'm not saying we wouldn't be at the point on Thursday, July 3rd or Monday. Let's wait and see. I'm putting stock in that they have reached verdicts on 4 counts.
I'm going with that, but I may give more later. I could tell them that they could return on July 3rd. We could arrange that. What do the parties think?
We'd like to give them the option to deliberate on the 3rd.
1 second, Your Honor.
Yes.
Our preference is that you don't tell them now about Thursday. The downside is that the jurors might feel rushed to reach a verdict to avoid the Thursday issue. Let them deliberate tomorrow. You can ask at the end of tomorrow.
So, the defense would have no objection to them deliberating on July 3rd?
No objection, if they want to.
Okay, let's bring back out our jury.
At this point, the jurors enter the courtroom.
Welcome back. I received your note that you have reached verdicts on counts 2 through 5. I ask you to continue deliberating. Discuss and weigh your respective opinions dispassionately and follow my instructions on the law. I ask you to return to the jury room. If you decide you are done for the day, send me another note and I'll bring you back out to end the day.
After that, the jurors leave.
Everyone can go back to doing what they were doing. We have received a note that the jurors have concluded for today and will resume tomorrow. We'll bring them back out.
And that was everything for today in court. From jury notes to silent stares and a judge pushing deliberations forward, the tension is only building. The verdict is coming, and when it does, you'll hear it here first. Make sure to subscribe, turn on notifications, and drop a comment below, because this trial is far from over. Please be advised, viewer discretion is strongly recommended. None of the content presented in this video has been exaggerated or taken out of context. What you're about to hear is a narrated breakdown of today's courtroom proceedings in the federal trial of Sean "Diddy" Combs, including the judge's final instructions to the jury, the official start of deliberations, and behind-the-scenes moments that unfolded while the jury was out of the room. This video is based on real-time reporting from courtroom journalist Inner City Press on X.com. Some language has been censored to comply with YouTube's community guidelines. All parties are presumed innocent until proven guilty. Watch and listen at your own discretion. In case there is anything, we'll bring the jury in for the charge.
The laptop is ready. There are a few things we'll finalize during the charge.
Just email it to Chambers. All rise. At this point, the jurors enter the courtroom.
I'll read you the charge. It's long, but I'll try to make it interesting. You have now heard all of the evidence in this case, as well as the final arguments of the parties. I will instruct you on the law, as I give it to you. The evidence is the testimony, the answers, and the exhibits. Arguments are not evidence. You are the sole and exclusive arbiters of the facts. What is a reasonable doubt? It's based on your common sense, after carefully weighing all the evidence. You just weight each witness's credibility, the truth and importance of their testimony. Size him or her up. You must decide. Sean Combs has been formally charged in an indictment. An indictment is not evidence. Count 1 charges from 2004 to 2024, a racketeering enterprise. Count 2 from 2009 to 2018, sex trafficking of Cassandra Ventura. Count 3 from 2009 to 2018, transporting individuals including but not limited to Ventura for purposes of prostitution. Count 4 from 2019 to 2024, sex trafficking of Jane. Count 5 from 2019 to 2024, transporting individuals including but not limited to Jane for purposes of prostitution. Each court is separate. For attempt, the U.S. must show intent and a substantial step taken. Mere intention does not amount to an attempt. Aiding and abetting means knowingly doing some act to aid or encourage a crime to be committed. For RICO, the U.S. must prove that from 2004 to 2024, there was an agreement between two or individuals for a racketeer enterprise that impacted interstate commerce, that the defendant joined and committed at least 2 predicate acts. The U.S. must prove a mutual understanding to cooperate. You may infer its existence from the circumstances of this case. Actions may speak louder than words. You may consider the acts of all of those you find to be participants. If you find that the Combs enterprise existed, you must find whether it continued in a substantially similar form from 2004 to 2024. The people can change. As to the defendant being a member, he had to know of the existence of the enterprise. The U.S. alleges 8 predicted: kidnapping, arson, bribery, witness tampering, forced labor, sex trafficking, transportation for prostitution, intent to distribute narcotics. The U.S. has to prove 2 offenses within 10 years. Kidnapping does not occur if the victim consented. Consent may be withdrawn. Arson under California law means the conspirator set fire or caused the fire. willfully or maliciously. Bribery of a witness under California law requires that a conspirator gave or promised to give a bribe to a person giving or about to give information to law enforcement to unlawfully influence it. For witness tampering, I violation, 18 Secs 1512 B3. It does not matter if the subject of the threat is in fact fearful. Only a threat is required, but it must be knowing. For forced labor, 18 Section 1589. A requires use of force or use of force of physical restraint. A person may withdraw consent, and it may become forced labor. Sex trafficking will have the same definition as in counts 2 and 4, and transportation to engage in prostitution, the same as count 3 and 5. Next is distribution of narcotics, including this long word that you see here, knowingly and intentionally. Distribution means actual transfer, to deliver to another person. For possession, physical custody is not needed. Control is enough. RICO has a 5-year statute of limitation. You must find that it continued past 2019. If you find that the government had not proved this beyond a reasonable doubt, you must find the defendant not guilty. On sex trafficking, counts 2 and 4, transport means to take or convey from one place to another. Reckless disregard satisfies the statute. The deliberate closing of eyes. You must be unanimous on at least one specific instance of sex trafficking. On counts 3 and 5, knowingly transporting or arranging for the transportation an individual for purposes of an act of prostitution, buying or arranging a ticket is enough. Prostitution does not need to be the main purpose. Prostitution is engaging sexual activity for money or its equivalent. You must be unanimous on at least one specific act of transportation with intent to engage in prostitution. On venue, the U.S. must prove at least one act occurred in SDNY, 8 counties. We are in the home stretch. In weighing expert testimony, you should not accept it just because I allowed it. The testimony of government officials are not worth of more or less weight than any other witness. Witnesses given immunity should be examined with greater can than ordinary witnesses. Charts and summaries, demonstrative aids, are not evidence and will not be available to you in the jury room. Certain witnesses were permitted to be identified by pseudonyms. That should bear on your evaluation of credibility. The defendant had no responsibility to testify, and he did not. You must not attach any significance to that. Voluntary intoxication may negate the intent requirement of RICO predicates. Uncalled witness, you have heard names of people not called as witnesses. Each side had an equal opportunity to call them. Do not speculate or consider this. Any notes you took are only for you. No outside reading. You are to consider only what was presented within the 4 walls of this courtroom. You may not communicate about this case, including on X, Instagram, or YouTube. If you see this, tell my deputy. Do not be swayed by bias, including implicit bias. These hidden thoughts can impact what we hear and see and how we remember it. You will now retire to consider the case. Each of you must decide the case for himself or herself after deliberating. Your verdict must be unanimous. If you are divided, do not report the specifics. Your foreperson will send out any notes and any verdict. Any communication with the court should be in writing. The alternates do not have to be here, but give your phone number to my deputy. You may be called to replace a juror. You will be called when a verdict is reached. The alternates are 234, 247, 292, 321, and 330, those in the top row. Do not read any news report to this trial, if there were to be any. Please accept my heartfelt gratitude for your service over the past 2 months, or even more. My deputy will provide my personal contact info. I could give you a tour of the courthouse.
At this point, the alternate jurors leave.
Here is the verdict sheet. Only if you find the defendant guilty of count 1, answer as to each predicate, not proved or proved. And did sex trafficking involve sex trafficking of Cassie or Jane? Count 2, 3, 4, 5, not guilty or guilty. From now on, your schedule is your own. You will be provided with meals. Now, the marshal will swear you in. Now the jurors can head back into the jury room. All rise.
At this point, the jurors leave.
We object to including the subject lines of BlackBerry messages like, "I am so horny."
It is common for exhibits to include subject lines. BlackBerry messages are more akin to emails than to text messages.
Let's have only neutral lists go to the jury. I'll trust the parties to provide an appropriate laptop to the jurors. I'm going to stick around for a bit, but we'll just stay here as long as they wish to deliberate. At the end of the day, we'll bring them in. I appreciated the collegiality on both sides in this case. Anything before we adjourn?
Number, can we go to another floor of the courthouse?
Just give us your cell phone number.
At this point, the courtroom was adjourned. At 11:48 a.m., the jury sends a note to the courtroom.
We have received a note from the jury. They have elected juror number 5 as the foreperson. It is signed by juror number 5, and there is agreement on the laptop. It will be taken into them. Now, we'll have a longer break.
During this court adjournment, at least for now, Sean Combs is still in the courtroom. Family members are standing in the second room. Combs goes back to speak with them, holding his hand behind his back, then back to table, staring at laptop. Now, between jury notes, Sean Combs has been taken back into the holding cell. And then, Sean Combs is back in the courtroom. His lawyers are huddled behind him in discussion. There has been a jury note. At 1:27 p.m.,
We have received a note from the jury that we have a juror, juror 25, who we believe cannot follow your instructions. I would like to meet with the court about it. I suggest I ask for more information.
May we have a moment to digest what Your Honor has proposed? This is very sensitive.
I suggest we just tell them, it is early, you are just getting started. If there is a further issue, please let us know.
If we go that route, we suggest instructing the jurors it is important not to include any information about what is going on in the jury room.
Confer on a response. I'll stay here. It's 1:48 p.m. See if you can come to an agreed-upon note. I'll come back at 2 p.m. and we'll figure this out.
At 2:02 p.m., they still did not agree on a response.
I would prefer to have a neutral response, like the government's draft response. That's the one I'll use. I'll put it on the court's letterhead.
There is no suggestion the juror will not follow instructions. So our proposal is more inert.
I don't want to suggest to the jury that there is any particular time they must deliberate. I don't want to tell them they just started. I'm going with the government version. We will print that out, Dad, send it in.
Sean Combs has been brought back into the courtroom by U.S. Marshals. His lawyers are gathered around looking at a piece of paper.
We have 2 letters, notes, from the jury. If an individual asks for a controlled substance and the person hands it over, it is distribution, and the 2D says they will end at 5 p.m. I suggest we respond by pointing to the jury charge.
We have a respond to the question, but if the jury wants to leave, let's do that first.
We have a response to.
Let's bring out our jury, and I'll discharge them for the day.
At this point, the jurors enter.
Per the jury's request, it's now 5 p.m., so we'll excuse you for the day. Your question, we'll answer you tomorrow morning. I am not going to bring you into the courtroom tomorrow morning. You just come in and start at
9. And that was it for today in court. The jury has officially begun deliberations, reviewing all the evidence, testimony, and legal instructions presented over the past several weeks. They'll return tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. to continue, and from this point on, the court will remain on standby, ready to respond to jury questions or announce a verdict whenever it's reached. Be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss the moment the verdict comes down. And let us know in the comments, what do you think the jury will decide in the Diddy trial?